What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor is up 1.36%, 783 the low, 833 the high, and somewhat low volume. So 117 million shares being traded, 372 is the average. So Opendoor is doing pretty good. It is luckily enough piggybacking off of the AI boom that seems to be happening in the broader market today, because as of right now, there hasn't been any news from Opendoor, no SEC filings, nothing really coming out from 𝗪𝗏 of any crazy substance. So the only thing that they kind of posted was just him hiring. So of course, last week he pretty much posted saying, hey, if you want to work for Opendoor, send me your resume, DM me, and all this stuff. So it looks like 2X, whatever this is, Y Combinator. I haven't really heard of them all that much. Founders are going to be starting at Opendoor. So in general, pretty good stuff, but still this isn't really a reason to buy Opendoor, nor is it a reason to sell Opendoor. The only other thing that kind of came out that's really pushing the market higher is this. So Challenger job cuts came in at 54,000, forecast of 150. So even though this is actually good data, which did diminish the likelihood of a 50 basis point cut, it still, I think, is what the market did truly need to really push higher. Again, aside from the whole AI boom that's happening today. Aside from that though, you do have this. So right now there's a 97.8% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. As I've mentioned, by the end of this week, we should either be starting to price in a 25 basis point cut or start to really consider a 50. Yesterday, we did have a slight likelihood of a 50 basis point cut on the table. That didn't really last all too long, as you can kind of see. Like I said, nothing really coming out from the company itself. Only other thing I wanted to somewhat bring up was this right here. And this is more of a constructive criticism. And so 𝗪𝗏 posts quite a few different things, and he did state that he designed and built Canada's startup visa, which has been destroyed by lobbyists and immigration consultants and whatever else. It's kind of interesting the fact that he's now saying it's time to shut down the program when he intends on really moving up to Canada. And so of course this expansion, you'd need a lot of government approvals, regulatory approvals, and for him to piss off IRCC is not a good image, right? So I think in general, Canada has been a little bit more now united on a government standpoint. So I think this is just a very bad image ultimately. And I think 𝗪𝗏, if he is going to be as active as he is on social media, he can't be like Elon. He's not Elon at all. So you can't just say whatever the hell you want and expect no repercussions. Well, I guess Elon gets repercussions as well, but in general, this one kind of stood out to me as more of a touchy type of thing. And then again, I think over the last week, we've seen a lot of touchy speculative posts from members of Opendoor. Aside from that, shorts are increasing at this time, 2.77 million shares, 20.23% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 143.4 million shares overall being shorted. So they did attempt first thing to try to slow Opendoor down. They were actually increasing at 1.5 million shares, and that was ultimately right here. So shorts did attribute to this push lower. Since then, they've started to return a little bit, so they are very active today. Aside from that, 22 million in calls, 4.61 million in puts, 53% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. This one right here, so 1.8 million in premiums between 8.55 and 9, and if we kind of pop this open, sort it based on premiums, it looks like it was based on the timestamp, a multi-leg transaction, more oriented towards bearish. So it looks like a 8.50 call was sold alongside a $9 call that was sold by, looks like expiring tomorrow. So big money is assuming that Opendoor is not going to pass 8.50. So kind of interesting to see that and why they would be doing that. Aside from that, from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 9 to 9.50. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 750. No new analyst ratings, anything like that. But interestingly enough, we actually did get a lot of articles recently, just kind of digesting Opendoor's new plan, so about the 7-day and the 100-day kind of thing, and that was updated yesterday. And honestly, it doesn't look like big money is really enjoying that. So I think that's probably why it's not at the $9 range or $10 range, because I think there's just a lot of, as I mentioned in my video yesterday, a lot of legal kind of potential repercussions that could come from this. Although, what do I know in life? So again, big money doesn't really like that, but I think most of the big hedge funds possibly might be shorting Opendoor. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see from the latest 13Fs. And on a side note, I think that there will be a big update for the new SEC transparency rule that should be starting off in the first half of 2026. So that does mean all the 13Fs going forward, they will have to actually disclose short positions. So I'll kind of do a little bit more of a dedicated video all about that and why that would be very, very beneficial to Opendoor. But aside from that, these are some of the transactions occurring on the secondary market. So a lot of good pockets of buying, but nothing overly crazy. So the big culprit for today is algorithmic trading. That's what's really suppressing Opendoor in a lot of cases, alongside shorts, because on the secondary market, you didn't see that much in transactions. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool though. So you see a little bit more transactions. This, although, is used often enough by shorts and hedge funds, so it is what it is. Aside from all that fun stuff on the actual chart, it is still really fighting to get above that 10-day moving average. It did kind of bounce off that general area. So the high for today was 833 and the 10-day moving average is 834. So kind of bounce off of that general area. Comparing yesterday to today, you don't really see that much change for the market position. So same walls for selling and also for buying, and no real articles really coming out of substance other than that Bazinga one that I just brought up. So I think it's just more speculative, and a lot of people are still right now unsure about the whole shutdown. So luckily enough, like I said, AI is really pushing the market higher. If not, I feel like today would have been quite the red day. But quickly seeing here on the flow, this is how you can easily see algos are massive today. And so that's based on the smaller transactions. So all in all, pretty good stuff. So let me know your general thoughts on Opendoor. Are you buying? Are you selling? Where do you see things going? As I've mentioned, I think it was in my video yesterday or the day before, Elliott Wave Technicals is projecting for Opendoor to really move higher between like that $9 to $12 range. So that would be pretty epic. I think in the short term, it just needs that nice gentle push. It needs that nice push to get above that 10-day moving average. So if I was Kaz, and I know I get a lot of hate for some reason whenever I say that. Some people are like, oh, you're not Kaz. I get it. I'm not Kaz, clearly, and I'm not the CEO of Opendoor. But if I was Kaz and I knew that I was a CEO of pretty much this big momentum play, I would be doing a lot of interviews. I would be doing a lot of just posts, and not speculative ones talking about immigration or whatever else. I would say, hey, this stock is very much undervalued because of this. And this is something technically Eric, in my opinion, should be doing, that Roaring Kitty did a phenomenal job on with GameStop, bringing awareness that, hey, Opendoor is very discounted. And some people honestly need to be told that 2 or 3 times before they actually say, hey, you know what? Maybe Kaz is right. Maybe there is value here, blah, blah, blah. So if I was Kaz, again, I think that is what needs to be done. But obviously, I'm not Kaz, and what do I know in life? So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.